Evening all, welcome to the Rebirth. So we're here now at part 4. Hopefully that's testament to how good this game is. But before I go a step further, I need to issue an apology. I think a lot of people have had a lot of issues with this game, and it's weird. It's like the soldier that walks through the minefield and literally just misses everyone, not even aware it's a minefield, and walks out the other side, has a dump, comes back through, scratching his ass, gets to the other side, and again misses it entirely. I seem to have missed every single bug with this game, with the exception of one. I couldn't figure out how to initiate a trade, although actually I think now I look back at the footage, it was actually working. So I can only apologise if you've watched these videos and you really like what you've seen and you've gone and bought the game and it's not worked. It sucks. I think part of the reason why YouTube is quite a powerful medium is maybe to kind of keep our game developers in check slightly. So, you know, showing your annoyance. Certainly looking at some of the reviews that happened for this game, it did quite appear to be that people were not quite happy. However, I think now that they've issued a patch 1.4, apparently, I don't know how any of the patch numbers work, but and I could even be wrong on that number. I get confused with patches because I find it a quite ethereal concept anyway. But what they've done here is they've apparently fixed a lot of the bugs, and certainly the game is speedier, and it does feel as if things are better. But I've got to admit, I've played hours of this game so far. All the campaign, I've not actually done free mode yet, but I've got to admit it's quite swish. I'm still enjoying it a massive amount, to the point where you know you've got a good game, and you probably get this yourself, but you know you've got a good game when you actually look forward to playing it. So I was sat basically doing some work yesterday, and I was sat typing emails about lovely boring matters, and I sat there in the back of my mind thinking, oh, I can't wait to do that, and oh yeah, that'll be good. And that's always good. So when a game really kind of inspires you, really draws you in, you start to think about it, and I think that's certainly a great testament to this game. Anyway, so let's carry on with our critique and review of what's going on. Now, at this point, we've actually just traded our energy cells. We've gone and spoken to that weird woman who seems to be sitting on a bunk all day, and we've now got a plasma cannon fitted to the ship. Now, I don't do a lot of testing with this because the plasma cannon is really the kind of stationary objects. I want to kind of just crack on with the story, so a lot of what I'm cutting huge swathes of this out. But before we do just crack on, let me just show you another nice feature, if you like, of the game, which is scanning. Scanning is something that I think, again, if I refer back to Eve has done quite well recently, which is this beautiful kind of system scan capability. I think X, kind of trumps it one step further by doing a much more kind of what's the word? Sonar ping style scan, and you'll see that in just one moment. And I think this is excellent. I was really blown away by this, and I think this is, look at that, isn't that amazing? What it does is it brings up little circles that says, "Ooh, there's something over here, come check me out." Now, I didn't really have much time to do it at this point because, again, I was kind of trying to get the story. I'm always trying to play the game with the story in mind, so I generally try not to get diverted too much. So apologies if I am missing certain things. I'm sure there was actually something in the system for me to find, but I just thought, well, let's crack on with the story, because I think, the thing with the X stories is that I could well be playing this game for months with the story. So, I think I'm kind of very obviously kind of worried that we could end up getting diverted quite aggressively. The campaigns in X games have always been quite unusual, in fact, because they seem to have a bit of a, all of a sudden they'll say, right, you've got to this point in the campaign, go and make 1 million credits. You've got like $10. And I always love that. I think that's real kind of like, what? It all got a bit confusing at that point. However, the game is about to change entirely through this cutscene, so I'm not going to spoil it. I'll let you read what's happening here. But remember the story. We met this woman. She was part of a kind of separatist group against Plutarch Mining Corporation, which is really not merely a mining corporation anymore because of the gate collapse. They are now actually more of a militaristic militia, let's say. And because the gates have collapsed, therefore whole societies have basically been cut off and basically, kind of shipwrecked effectively in their system. So it's a wonderful, lovely back set to the whole story. Now, we were coming to drop her back off. Obviously, she's not being dropped back off. And lo and behold, a gate's working. Now, I literally was sat there squeeing like a girl because I love sci-fi and I love this whole premise of exploration. And to me, we've just flown through a gate that's not connected to where it should be connected to, and we have no idea where we are now. I love this. This is exactly the sci-fi that I yearn for in my sleep. So here we go. We've actually gone through a gate. Now, again, bear in mind, the gate network is offline. That is what has pretty much marooned all of the all of the universe, because this ancient gate network, which is what they relied on, is no longer working. However, you notice they've got their slip lanes or super highways, or whatever we want to call them, and this has dropped me in the middle of an unknown, uncharted system. There's obviously some form of civilization here, and this is the story that I think is awesome, and I just loved it. So I was sat here thinking, well, there must be civilization here at some point, but is it alive? Is it dead? You know, this is the beauty of having such a kind of cataclysmic event as a gate collapse, because I don't know what I'm going to find. And I love games that have that absolutely unknown quantity to them. So here we go. It's a really odd system, as you can see. I start scanning, and as you can see, the scanning is quite cool. There's a few, I looked at that as obviously some form of abandoned, I don't know what that was, but my first instinct was to shoot it with the plasma cannon, and naturally it blew up. So yeah, I mean, as it looks, I think this just completely rocked my mind. Again, I know I keep saying it, but I'm really complimentary of games that are bold enough to say, oh, here's something different now. And I think X has really got that in a huge kind of complimentary shovel through the books. And I think, you know, a lot of what they're trying to achieve, I think, is also just a story really that's quite interesting and spans a lot of sci-fi stuff and convention, and I think they've certainly done that. So as you can see, look, there's ruins here. There's definitely past civilizations, and I think they cleverly have kind of tuned into all the things that I think as nerds, sci-fi nerds, love to you know, kind of hear about. And I think, you know, kind of ancient destroyed civilizations, cataclysmic end of time things have obviously happened here, and I think this is pretty cool. Now I'm kind of, as I'm saying this, I know what's coming, so I'm already pre-engineering the discussion, but I think certainly what they have produced here is quite cool, because again, it would have been a bit boring if it had just been, here's the X universe, carry on. And I think even with the gate network being down, here's Albion, you know, system, just go and fly about it, that'd have been boring. So I'm kind of cool, I'm really happy that they've actually kind of put a gate network back in. However, at this point, I'm kind of thinking to myself, am I actually alone? Because it looked pretty, you know, desolate around here. And again, I think the scanner is pretty tricky. I mean, I'm trying to get the hang of it, but as you can see, as you pulse, there's too much interference, there's too much going on, so it's very difficult to kind of ascertain what to look for. However, as with all of these things, it's an engineered situation, so we're being led. It's almost like, you know, Alice through the looking glass, and you're kind of being led through what is obviously a dying or dead bit of space that has, you know, once was maybe part of one of the big empires that's now obviously not. And I love this premise. As you can see, the sun is the persistent part of this. We're getting closer and closer to the sun. These massive orbital structures and stations, I have no idea what they were, but they just look amazing. I can't wait to fly around them. I could leave the gateway network now and actually fly around them, but I'm not gonna. But oh, I just love it. Isn't that amazing? Oh, there we go. So we're not alone. So we actually have other people here. But again, I don't know who they are, so I probably need to actually, you know, communicate with them and blah blah blah. Again, I'm not too sure how I do that. I think I just select them and press C or something. But again, I was kind of really just soaking up the whole ambience of what is a really great bit of sci-fi. I think, you know, again, I have to be complimentary of them here. So here we come. So we're getting close to the sun each time, and there's obviously some sort of abandoned mine there. So there's a huge asteroid or whatever that is. You can see there's wreckage from stations. It's looking pretty, well, epic, really. Uh-oh. So here we go. So here we go. So pretty much they're not very friendly. So this is my first proper dogfight, and as you can see, I'm trying to use the plasma cannon, which is obviously the large, almost stationary thing. And you can see I actually, you know, emergency launch my drones as well, because I just think, well, what am I going to do? I was pretty scared at this point, because I had not actually really been in combat before this point. And it took me a while to figure out that actually the other gun is better for the fast moving stuff. So We figured that out eventually. As you can see, I'm still persisting. But the combat is like typical X combat. It's very good. I think there's a lot of really kind of cool dogfighting to be done. You can upgrade this ship incredibly. So I think, you know, one of the key things that I'm not really kind of doing is missiles. My missiles, I think, are I haven't got many, and plus the one I'm not really familiar with how to use them, because I always generally use lasers. So I think that's probably why it's not going so well. But as you can see, my shields are going down, and I'm starting to get a bit worried now. They've used a standard dogfight tactic here, which is he's flown off in a relatively straight line, so his mate can come behind me and shoot me, and I'm stupid to fall for this. I forgot that actually this is part of it. And as you can see, look, we're taking pretty bad damage. The hull's going down. This isn't good. We're starting. Oh, it's not getting good. So here we go. So the chances are I'm about to die. Literally, the last few inches of of armor is left, and I'm in pretty big trouble. And I've not killed a single one of them yet. So this is where I switch back to my old gun, and lo and behold, it's actually quite good. And here we go. So this is kind of back into the fray. But again, this is the visceralness of, I think, X. If you've never, again, if you've never played these before, this is really part of it. Now, I do something a bit stupid here. I try and use my drone against the enemy, which is kind of stupid because it leaves my ship actually quite exposed, and I lose the drone quite quickly, thank God, because I think I would have lost my ship, you know, if not. But here we go. So, oh God, ramming people is not a great idea. But this is the one of the things I think you have to get used to with X universe, is that it's just, when you go into these kind of combat scenarios, the chances are, if you're not ready, if you're not kind of able, you're going to lose, and that's always quite scary. But I think that we're almost there. So we've killed one of them, and you'll notice that damage is persistent, or rather the hulls are persistent now. I hated it in Dust. I hated it in X, where you would actually just kill a ship and then it'd be gone. Little explosion, pop, gone. I hated that, particularly the capital ships. In this, I'm getting the impression that once you kill a ship, its hull is left there, which you can salvage, you can scan, you can check it out and see what's going on. But there we go, I survived, only by the skin of my teeth. Interesting stuff, hope you agree, and I think certainly we're going to carry on playing this wonderful, awesome game, and I think if now's a point to maybe convince you to buy it, I think it would be time to maybe have a look at it. Anyway, quick shout out, squadbme.com is live, go check it out, and hope you enjoyed that. We'll see you next time.